Jennie Kim, right. I mean, musician, trendsetter, global icon, really. And she somehow just blends creativity with this, like, genuinely cool vibe.
She does, yeah.
So today, well, we're going to go on a deep dive into her world. We'll see how her style, her love for places like Paris, and even her new project, Ruby, all connect, to reveal a bigger picture of her as an artist.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. That intentional blurring of lines between like her music, her fashion, even her personal life makes for such a captivating narrative.
Absolutely. So to help us with all this, we've got two sources. First, there's an episode from this fictional podcast, The Open Mic, I think it's called.
Okay.
They do these great deep dives into celebrity interviews.
Interesting.
In this case, it's Jennie's Vogue interview, the recent one.
Okay.
They go into her thoughts on everything, fashion, self-care, her creative process, all of it.
Nice.
And then our second source is an analysis, focusing on how Jennie's style choices actually reflect her broader artistic vision.
I like that. What strikes me is how both these sources go beyond just the surface level. They dig into the intentionality behind all her choices.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's start with Paris. Both sources talk about Jennie's connection to the city, especially during Fashion Week. The Open Mic even said she sees Paris almost like a second home.
And it's not just about the fashion scene for her either. She talks about finding peace and familiarity in Paris. Like specifically, she loves just walking by the Seine, taking in the simple beauty of the city.
That's really interesting. It seems kind of different from, the whole fast-paced, high-pressure world of Fashion Week.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it shows something about her, like, aesthetic sense. That appreciation for simplicity, for those quiet moments of beauty, it seems to carry over into her work, too.
Oh, interesting.
You see it in her music videos sometimes, like with those minimalist sets, the clean lines of her outfits, even the way she uses negative space when she dances. It's about impact, but through, like, curated simplicity, not just overwhelming everything.
That's a great point. I never really connected those dots before.
Yeah.
It makes you realize how much thought she puts into every aspect of her creative stuff,
Right.
Speaking of which, her fashion is another area where we see this intentionality. The analysis calls fashion a form of storytelling for her.
Oh, absolutely. She doesn't just wear clothes, right? It's about expressing ideas, moods, even whole narratives through what she wears.
That's right.
Take her outfit at the Chanel show, for example. Inspired by a cape, but it was more than just looking stylish. It was a statement, about power, elegance, this sense of mystery. And that totally aligns with her whole persona.
When she's making these visual metaphors, adds another layer to her art.
Exactly. And this ties back into her music, too. Think about the symbolism in her videos, how she uses color and costumes to get specific emotions across. It's all connected.
So it's not just about looking good. It's creating a complete experience, a whole story told through sound and visuals.
Precisely. And this brings up something the Open Mic mentioned that really surprised me.
Oh.
Jennie carries a pillow in her Fashion Week bag.
A pillow. Wait, seriously? That's so unexpected. Especially in that whole scene.
I know, right? You'd think it'd be full of, like, designer stuff or makeup, but a pillow. There's something deeper there.
It does suggest that comfort, self-care, those are important to her, even in the crazy world of Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Makes her seem more human.
Definitely. Reminds us that even someone as globally famous as Jennie Kim still has basic human needs, like rest and comfort.
It also suggests she's not afraid to prioritize her well-being, even with all the pressure to fit a certain image.
Yeah.
And speaking of being vulnerable, the Open Mic also said Jennie admitted to still feeling overwhelmed by Fashion Week, even after all these years.
I found that so relatable. Shows that no matter how successful you are, there will always be challenges and, moments of doubt.
It definitely adds another layer to her connection with her fans.
Oh, yeah.
Because it shows she's not immune to these human experiences.
Totally. And that authenticity shines through in all her work. The personal stories in her lyrics, the raw emotions in her performances.
Okay, so we've got her love for Paris, her unique approach to fashion, her emphasis on taking care of herself, all pointing to this, like, deliberate intentionality in her artistic image.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that her musical background plays a big part in this whole multifaceted vision.
Right.
The Open Mic highlighted how Jennie's mom exposed her to a bunch of musical genres growing up, everything from hip-hop to R&B.
Wow, that's really interesting. How do those influences show up in her own music?
Well, if you listen closely, you can hear bits of those early influences, the rhythms, melodies, even her vocal techniques. It's like she's taken those basics and made them into something totally her own.
So like a master chef taking all these ingredients and making a whole new dish.
Exactly. And this variety in her musical influences just makes her artistic vision even stronger and helps her stand out.
This is already so insightful, and we haven't even gotten to Ruby yet.
I know.
But before we do that, is there anything else about Jennie's journey that you think is important for our listeners to understand?
I think what's key is that all these separate things, Paris, fashion, comfort, her musical upbringing, they're all linked. They all come together to make this cohesive artistic identity. It's uniquely Jennie.
You're right. It's not just random stuff she likes. It's a carefully put together mix of influences and experiences. Informs everything she does.
Exactly. And that makes exploring Ruby even more exciting because it's in this project that we see all these different threads come together.
Okay, so let's get into Ruby then. What can you tell us about it? What makes it so important in light of everything we've talked about?
Ruby itself, it's still a bit mysterious, but the name, it's full of symbolism.
Yeah.
It's inspired by a ruby red theater curtain.
Okay.
So right away, you get that sense of drama, anticipation.
What do you think she's going for with that image? It definitely feels like something's about to be revealed.
Exactly. It suggests like a revelation, peeling back layers to show something deeper, maybe something more personal. The curtain's a barrier, right, between the audience and the performer. And by calling it Ruby, it's like she's inviting us backstage to see a more vulnerable side of her.
That makes sense, yeah. Especially with how much she focuses on storytelling and creating a complete experience.
Right. And the choice of ruby adds even more meaning. Rubies, the gemstones, they're often linked to passion, intensity, that fiery energy.
Right.
So it could be like her declaring her creative power, a symbol of her boldness as an artist.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And suggests she's being more assertive, maybe even experimental with this project.
I agree. It makes you wonder if the music itself will reflect that too.
Yeah?
Will she explore new genres, push boundaries, take more risks?
Great question. I'm sure her fans are dying to know. The Open Mic, said Ruby, is coming out March 7th.
Oh, wow. Soon. The anticipation is definitely building. Yeah.
And knowing Jennie, I wouldn't be surprised if she's used some really innovative production techniques or collaborated with some unexpected artists. She's always pushing the limits of K-pop, sonically and visually.
Speaking of visuals, I can only imagine the music videos, the stage outfits.
Oh, yeah.
She's got such a great sense of style, so I'm sure Ruby will be amazing.
Absolutely. And it's not just the clothes. She curates the whole visual experience.
Yeah.
Set design, lighting, choreography, all of it. It's about telling one cohesive story.
So with Ruby, it's like she's combining her love for music and fashion to create this immersive experience. It's not just listening, it's stepping into her world.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is while she's embracing this big vision, exploring new creative ground, she's staying true to herself. Remember that pillow?
Oh, right. Even with all the grandeur of Ruby, she's not sacrificing her comfort. Yeah, exactly. And that's a powerful message, especially for her younger fans. They might feel pressure to sacrifice things for success, but she's showing them you can be ambitious and still prioritize yourself.
Like she's saying, you can go after your dreams without losing yourself.
That's it. And this whole idea, balancing vulnerability with power, being ambitious but also authentic, it keeps coming up in Jennie's journey. It's in her music, her fashion, even how she deals with fame.
It's really inspiring.
Yeah.
Especially in a world where we're always told to be perfect, hide our flaws. She's showing a different way. Where embracing your complexities and putting your well-being first can actually make you stronger.
And that really connects with her fans. They see her as a role model for how to handle life's challenges, with grace and authenticity.
So basically, Ruby is like a culmination of everything we've talked about.
Yeah.
Her storytelling, her bold vision, taking care of herself, being vulnerable and real.
You got it. It's a project that will probably be both visually amazing and emotional powerful. It shows her growth as an artist and a person.
I can't wait to see what she does. So as we wait for Ruby, what are the key takeaways you think our listeners should remember?
Well, I think the big takeaway is Jennie Kim's art. It's a tapestry. Her love for Paris, her fashion, her self-care, those musical influences, it all comes together to make something unique.
And it's not just the surface stuff, right? There's a deeper message there.
Right, exactly. Like this powerful message about authenticity and vulnerability. It goes through all her work. She isn't afraid to show her flaws, admit that she gets overwhelmed sometimes. And that makes her so relatable, especially for younger fans.
It's like she's saying it's okay to be yourself, embrace all your complexities. You don't have to be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And yet, at the same time, she's incredibly ambitious and driven, always pushing things further, setting the bar high creatively. It's this amazing blend of, like, relatability and aspiration. Makes her so compelling.
It's like she's saying, hey, you can be vulnerable and powerful. You can be yourself and still go after big things. That's powerful, especially for young women who are often told they have to choose.
I think you nailed it. Jennie Kim is a real role model for this generation, showing them you can achieve amazing things without sacrificing who you are.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm really curious to hear your final thoughts. How does Jennie Kim's ability to be vulnerable but still so powerful artistically, how does that resonate with you?
For me, it's a reminder that real strength comes from accepting every part of ourselves, the good and the bad. It's about being okay with who we are, even the parts we might not love, and then taking that and pouring it into our creative work.
Wow, that's beautifully put. And for our listeners, we'll leave you with this thought. How does Jennie's story inspire you? What does her art teach you about being vulnerable, being intentional, expressing yourself?
This has been great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And for everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Jennie Kim's world. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the things that spark your interest.